I'm pretty aware that the way that I used to do things just isn't working for me anymore. But I'm at this place where I don't really know what is working for me or what alternative I want to move into. So let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. And I can only laugh at this because just even thinking about this, I just am finding it really ridiculous right now how confusing it is for me. So my old way of doing things, I've been extremely goal-oriented. So I set myself a goal, I go for it, I'm like a pit bull, I'm going to make it happen. And it worked. Works still. But the but is, it doesn't always get me what I really want. In fact, in the past, I've made things goals that were not really things that I wanted to do. They were things that other people wanted me to do, or that I thought other people wanted me to do, or they were simply roles that were placed before me that needed to be filled. And I said, well, I can do that. Instead of kind of asking myself, what is it that I want to do here? What do I really want? So it wasn't until a few years ago I really started asking myself that question at all. What do I really want? And the truth is that a lot of times I don't know. So in this 60-day inspiration experiment that I'm still in, as a part of observing what inspires me and what it is that I want to do and what that feels like, part of the challenge I created for myself was to say no to anything that wasn't a hell yes, any new opportunities that were not a hell yes for 60 days, just to test this out. And this has proven to be pretty challenging. In fact, my automatic response is usually yes. And I found myself having to go, oh, wait a second, no. Got invited to do an interview on a podcast. And I at first said yes. And then I went, wait. Well, this is not a hell yes for me. This is not inspiring to me. No, I'm sorry, I can't do it. So this is sort of something I've been testing out. It's not easy. I think it's a good exercise for me to just say no to things and recognize that I really don't want to do this. It doesn't inspire me. At the same time, I'm also noticing that I can do things with inspiration, and inspiration is something that can be found in the most unlikely places, such as the deaths of my pets. And that there's gratitude in that, which confuses the hell out of me. So to make this even more confusing, I read this book, and it was very timely, called The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer. I had read just previously his book called The Untethered Soul. They're really like two halves of the same story. One is the philosophy, and the other is the author's actual life story. So in The Surrender Experiment, Michael Singer relates this awakening process that he had and how he gave up control of his life. He said, I'm going to set aside my preferences. And he did this as an experiment to see what would happen. Would he be able to free himself from the pain caused by his ego and the judgments he had about things and his own personal preferences by letting that go and just letting whatever life brought to him, saying yes to it, even if he didn't want to. He has a preference. Life brought this. This is what life is asking me to do, and so I would do it. And it's a really interesting story because he stopped deliberately choosing things for himself and just surrendered to what life brought him, and it brought him to places that he never could have imagined, such as starting a construction company, becoming a teacher, owning a software company and being a CEO and having like $1 billion merger or some ridiculous stuff. And then he ends up on trial for a crime. and like the whole spectrum, it's a really fascinating story. But what's interesting about this to me is that it occurs to me that life brings us things. Life is like a current. It's like a stream. And we can swim upstream, we can fight it, or we can go with the current. I can recognize what's happening in my life and go with it, or I can try to make what I want happen. And the reason I'm thinking about this is because I know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that what I think is possible is so much less than what's actually possible. What I think might be a great idea for me, I have no idea, with the limitations of my mind and my thinking and the information that I have to work with. I really don't know what would be the best thing to happen to me. What would be the most amazing thing that I could ever do or attempt? I know I'm not thinking of something because I just haven't been exposed to it yet. So what if I'm setting my goals so narrow and so targeted that I miss the real gift that life has for me? At the same time, the thought of giving up my personal preferences and just saying yes to what comes in front of me is absolutely terrifying, because I feel like in many ways I've done that, and yet I haven't really surrendered. Because when Michael Singer was saying yes to these opportunities that life brought him, he accepted them as an opportunity to serve, and he brought himself to each and every one. And I think that what I've been doing is doing them begrudgingly, or not finding a way to feed myself in them. So I talked with my dear friend about this, and she's very wise and has contemplated this and has lived much more like this for far longer than I have. And she said to me that surrendering to life is like sailing. When you're sailing, you have an idea of what direction you want to go, but there are so many variables. There's the wind and the sail and the water and so many different variables that the way you get there and where you exactly end up isn't the way you plan, and that's okay. I remember one time she said to me, when I want something and it's not happening, when I put something out there and no one responds, I take a moment to think about it, to reflect, to look at it and say, all right, what's going on here? Am I not aligned, or is this really not wanting to happen? There's something blocked here. Because when something wants to happen in life, there is a flow. Maybe you've experienced this in your own life. I know I have in mine, where things just happen easily. And a lot of times things have been hard. So I'm looking at my life a little bit differently. And my friend also said that when she wants something, she lets it pull her. She said it's like there's an open window and she can feel the draft and she goes toward the draft. And I really liked that idea of navigating by feel. And I think that's what I'm moving towards, because I have a very powerful belief, In fact, I start every coaching conversation with, this is a part of the prayer that I say, the intention that I set before I speak to that person, and that is, grant us the courage to accept the gifts that we are given. Because my powerful belief is that everything that life brings us is a gift. It's our job to accept it and unwrap it and discover what that gift is. And sometimes that gift comes in a painful package. It's still a gift. And so I don't want to turn away those gifts that life might be bringing to me. So right now, in each moment, what I'm working on, and I have not figured this out. So if you have thoughts on this or suggestions for me, please share them. What I'm working on is just being in the moment with everything that is, acknowledging my personal preference, acknowledging what the preferences of others appear to be, and just sensing, what is it that wants to happen right now? Kind of like I'm sailing and I'm feeling the wind, right? What's the direction? Because in a heartbeat, that direction could change. I want to be sensitive to that. I don't want to be so attached to where I think I want to go that I miss out on where I am.